Depending on who you ask, all games are art. If this is true, Gradient Addiction would not lie in a museum. Gradient Addiction would be found spray painted on the side of a decrepit parked van, piling up way too many tickets, but somehow hasn't been towed for years. Gradient Addiction is the incomprehensible, but effortlessly fascinating crayon-etched sprawl of a currently gifted, future burnt-out child meticulously inscribed on the placemat of a diner kids menu. The characters populated throughout Gradient Addiction are to be treated less like people and more like specimens, each and every one begging to be examined under the scrutiny of a microscope. But you don't have a microscope, only a cheap 2008 Sony digital camera's zoom lens. Gradient Addiction is a second-hand I Spy book with so many scribbled in drawings they completely obfuscate the original pictures. Gradient Addiction is a country carnival corn maze you sneak into after hours, only to realize you're worryingly lost within just a few minutes. Playing Gradient Addiction is like taking a hot bath. After coming up on an hour, your skin starts to prune. But not just your fingertips. Your arms, legs, nose, and eyes become the splitting image of dates and raisins if you succumb to its steamy, warm clutches for any longer. Gradient Addiction satiates your curiosity like the first bite of a cosmic crisp apple satiates your hunger. Only this apple is 5 feet wide and 3 feet tall, and houses a nerdy-looking worm that pops out to say, "Hey, could you stop bothering me? I'm trying to read my tiny worm book." Gradient Addiction's depiction of urban sprawl isn't postmodern. It's post-futurism, a movement that will likely appear not too long after the rapture slurps up all the good God-fearing Christians. The music in Gradient Addiction feels like it wasn't created, but found like an archaeological relic, made on a DAW likely comprised of an abacus and 3 buckets of water. Gradient Addiction is ahead of its time, like a broken clock will be in the distant, but not too distant, future, where the need for time itself will become entirely irrelevant. The best way to play Gradient Addiction is like the best way to ride the bus. You walk on and sit. Gradient Addiction is funny not funny haha. Exploring the world of Gradient Addiction is like reading a choose-your-own-adventure book page by page, completely ignoring the various page jumps the text instructs you to take. Gradient Addiction wants to be thought about as hard as that one math problem on the test you know you won't be able to solve, but spend way too much time thinking about anyway. You hand in the test face down and realize your teacher is not sitting at the desk, but your middle school best friend who looks at you in the eyes and confesses they only stopped hanging out with you because they were afraid they were in love with you.